to the Bat Cave. I'm your host, BlindBat8719. On today's video, I'm going to be playing for you my Illuna Apex of Wishes deck. But before I do, I got a few announcements to make for my audience. One, as always, if you like what I'm doing, please consider subscribing to help me grow the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. Two, Kaldheim's coming out next week. Let me know in the comment section down below which commanders you're looking forward to play in Brawl. I know for myself, I'm looking forward to building around the new Loki Tilbolt God, Planeswalker creature card, the whole vegetable soup that thing is, as well as Magda, I believe her name is. It's the red dwarf that lets you kind of search up artifacts and dragons, and the flavor on that one just seems so on point. I'm looking forward to building a dwarf tribal deck built around using her, dwarves, vehicles maybe a little bit, but artifacts and dragons. And related to that Kaldheim release, I won't have any cards. I don't have the pre-release access like some of the other streamers and video content creators have. So the next week's video should be a little later than normal. I'm probably going to try to get one out by Saturday, only because I have to open up packs and get the cards first before I can make the videos. But just be patient with me as I am trying to get used to using new recording software. I also have to use new editing software, which will be DaVinci Resolve. So if you have any tips or if you point out any mistakes or irregularities or any ways I can improve the edit of the videos, I would greatly appreciate that as well, and your patience in the meantime as I get used to using these new pieces of software. With all of that out of the way, I'm also going to try something new with the deck tech, as I've got a suggestion about trying a more in-depth deck tech and then maybe a little bit of fewer games. So I'm going to try that with today's video about a more in-depth deck to try to go over the nuances with what's going on. Let me know what you guys think of that. If you want to see more deck techs like that with a little fewer games, or would you rather have a shorter deck tech, maybe about anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes, and more gameplay footage. So with all of that out of the way, onto the deck. So Illuna Apex of Wishes is a 5-cost commander, 2 green, blue, red, for a beast elemental dinosaur with flying and trample, and she has and it's a 6/6 body. She has mutate for 3 Gruul hybrid blue. Whenever this creature mutates, exile a card from the top of your library until you exile a non-land permanent card. Put that card into the battlefield or into your hand. This mutate ability is very reminiscent to me of the Cascade mechanic from the Maelstrom Wanderer, which is a card that I love in paper EDH, and that's my favorite deck that I've built. And I was trying to recapture that feeling that I get playing my Cascade deck into the Brawl format. Maelstrom Wanderer is the same colors as Illuna, so I thought it would be very appropriate to use Illuna as the commander, and then I just thought it was really nice that the colors were the same, so I could try to play some of the same cards. The way we win with this deck is essentially a big show of force. Basically, we want to have enough things on the battlefield that our opponent is essentially going to concede over our overwhelming might than necessarily take combat damage. The downside to the deck at times is that we tend to usually, if we don't get like Fires of Invention out, we tend to only play one spell at a time, so we're really dependent on using something like Illuna's mutate ability, Auspicious Sterix, Genesis Ultimatum, and Fires of Invention, I'm not sure if I said that already, to get more value on the battlefield than our opponent can deal with. So with that end, we're really mana hungry, so we're going to go over the mana creatures with mana ramp we have. So we have Lotus Cobra. This is the one of 2 landfall creatures. This is also in my paper Maelstrom Wanderer deck, and it's just a card that I really enjoy, and it's something that gets us off to a couple fast starts, especially if we hit a Fable Passage. Arcane Signet. This is definitely a card. We're a 3-color deck. This is a card you want to be playing in your multicolor, actually basically in every Brawl deck. If it's Cultivate to help us get to our 4th and 5th land drops. I know basically this will get us to turn 5 a little bit sooner, so we can start putting, because that's where the deck kind of shines, is around the 5-6 mana slot. So Cultivate can jump us to turn 5 a turn earlier, which is great. Dryad Elysian Grove and Radahard of Keld. These 2 combined make us 1 Oracle of Moldiah, so that's really why they're in the deck. Dryad Elysian Grove also is a nice body, that it's a good blocker for 3 mana, as well as also fixing our mana with the lands we control or every basic type. so that makes it a lot easier to cast our spells, and then being able to play an additional land. That really, I only find if you play her out on 3, it only really is helpful if you have an extra land in your hand at the time. Otherwise, it doesn't work as well. But when you have Rada out, and you can look at the top card of your library and play lands off the top, now the Dryad's ability is really good, because now we can use Rada, you acting as pseudo card advantage by playing the lands out of our top. We essentially had either you could consider it drawing an extra card or playing with an extra card in your hand. Rada is also great as a mutate target for Illuna because of her pump ability, because this means that we can, if we give her flying with Illuna, we're able to now have an instant pump that if we have Illuna as the top card, our opponent may not remember right away because it's a lot of text to scroll down. And so we might be able to sneak in a win that way by being able to pump our mutated Illuna with Rada by +X+X, which in theory at minimum we're looking at like maybe 5 mana +5. So with Illuna on top, it's +6. Oh, so sorry, it'd be an 11/11 is what I'm trying to say. Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, and Fires of Invention are 2 cards that are banned in regular standard. These cards are the power level that I want to try to achieve with the deck. I want to win with this deck, and these are cards that help us out with that. Uro basically by doing a little bit of everything. Giving us life against aggro deck, drawing us cards, and ramping us up by playing a land putting a land onto the battlefield for us. And then later in the game, we're able to bring him back for all those effects and keep him in play, and it's a big body. And whenever he attacks, we get to draw a card. So it's definitely something that's so powerful it's banned in standard. That's the power level that I'm attempting to get, trying to build up towards the deck. I'm not saying I'm going to go ultra crazy with power level, because clearly I could be throwing an Ugin in here, but I feel like that kind of is not making the game fun right now. That Ugin as a top end, some decks want it. I think we can win without it. It's something that I also, I just wanted to play without it, so that's why I'm not going towards that. But these are 2 cards that I want to include. Fires of Invention also just makes things easier because, like I was saying, 5 and 6 mana is where we really want to be as a sweet spot for this deck. So being able to play out Fires on 4 and then doubling our mana, essentially being able to play out 2 5-drops on turn 5 is just amazing. We're just going to overwhelm our opponent that way. Now, one of the downsides to Fires, or there's 2 in our case, you can't cast instants on your opponent's turn, so counter spells aren't really effective with Fires of Invention. And mutate costs, you still have to tap your lands. That's the downside that Fires of Invention gives. Because of that, we can't keep our mana open for any trickery or whatnot. So, or for like activated abilities like Rada's. But again, the upside of being able to cast 2 things, you'd be able to spend in theory 10, 12, 14 mana with Fires of Invention out is amazing for our deck. Migration Path, this is in here as just a ramp spell. It's better than the one, I always forget the basic 4-costed search for 2 land card off the top of my head. But this is basically an improved version just for the mere fact that it has cycling for 2. So if we just want a random card instead of 2 lands, we can always just do that. Migratory Greathorn, I don't have a ton of mutate creatures like a mutate build of Illuna would have, but I tried to have a few that made sense. So Migratory Greathorn makes sense. Again, it lets us the ramp. It's also cheap because one of the combinations we can do is, if we don't want to necessarily spend the 6 mana on Illuna, we could always try a trick of, if we have like 8 mana instead, we could always play Illuna for 5 and then mutate Migratory Greathorn onto him for 3. Is that would kind of save us a cost of 2 mana, because the other way of doing it would be to play Migratory Greathorn for 4 and Illuna mutates on for 6, so that's 10 mana. So the other way around saves us some mana. Solemn Simulacrum, again, he ramps us, he draws us cards when he dies. He's a non-human creature, so we can mutate onto him. And he's also colorless, so it makes us he's easy to cast no matter what lands we have out. Beanstalk Giant is an adventure card that basically lets us play 2 cards in 1. So when you only have a 60 card limit, versatility is key. He lets us ramp on turn 3, and then he's just a big body that we can have in play later on in the game. And again, we can use him as a mutate target that we can give flying with Illuna, that now we can have a 7/7, 8/8, 9/9 flying trampling Beanstalk Giant. So next over, we're going to talk about some of the card draw we have in the deck. There's only not too much, because I usually want to be able to have things in my library to cascade into. As that's what, and I'm going to refer to Illuna's ability as Cascade for the most part, as it's the closest way of shortcutting it. Deliberate, I just thought would be a good early card that we can use to draw to cast that will help us find what we're looking for early on, whether it be action or be lands. It's also an instant, which is great. Reigns of Revelation is more for the mid game, where we can draw 3 cards, refill our hand a little bit, and we're going to discard 1, but if we draw an Uro, is an easy choice to discard. Seagate Restoration is just a low cost inclusion, as it can be a land for 3 life. And later on, if we have like 3, I think at minimum you have to have like, as you're casting, if you have 3 cards in your hand, it's probably worth casting to refill your hand there in that regard, to kind of double your hand size. This column here is like the interaction we kind of have with our opponent. So Fire Prophecy, some early creature interaction. We can destroy something that they have, like a mana ramp creature or something else maybe. And we do have some things that are high cost that we can't cast on turn 2 or turn 3. So this will let us put those away for later and draw something that we might be able to cast sooner. Scavenging Ooze is how we interact with our opponent's graveyard. He also is a great mutate target because +1/+1 counters will stay on the creature that even if it mutates onto. So if we put 2 +1/+1 counters with Scavenging Ooze because we got rid of some creatures out of our opponent's graveyard, if this is our mutate target, whatever the bigger creature is, we'll keep the +2/+2 counters. So if Illuna mutates onto Scavenging Ooze, instead of being a 6/6, he'll actually be an 80 because of those counters. Broken Wings in here is a versatile removal spell for artifacts, enchantments, and creatures with flying. There's usually 2 cards that are in every set. There's a card that deals with a flying creature in green, Plummet's the most common version, and there's a card in green that deals with destroy target artifact or enchantment. By themselves, a Plummet or Back to Nature, I think would be the other card. Those by themselves are too narrow to really include in a deck. But by combining all of them into one card, I think it's really appropriate and a good niche way of dealing with something our opponent may have. The Great Henge is a powerful artifact that's usually played in a lot of decks that can run it in green. We may run into other enchantments like Elspeth Conquers Death that we only want to have them use as a 5-cost removal spell. This can take care of that. As well as sometimes we play opposing Illuna decks or things that have big creatures like Terror of the Peaks, we can easily kill that with a Broken Wings. So that's why I like playing this in a green deck. Mythos of Illuna. This deck has a little bit of a clone theme, and I did build that in mind because that's partly what the Maelstrom Wanderer deck in paper has. And so Mythos kind of helps us copy any permanent on the battlefield, which is amazing. And if we use red and green to pay the generic cost, we can make a copy of that permanent, and if that copy is a creature, we can fight something our opponent has. More often than not, we end up using this card as a fight card to kill something our opponent has. That's the main use of this card. Depending on how we mutate Illuna. So if we're mutating Illuna onto, say, a Beanstalk Giant on Auspicious Sterix, we're actually going to take the Beanstalk Giant or the Auspicious Sterix as the top card, as the power will be greater than whatever Illuna has. That also makes the top card a non-legendary creature. So being able to copy a non-legendary 6/6 flying trample creature, or like with its Beanstalk, a 9/9 flying trample creature, I have 2 of those in the battlefield. That is very powerful play to make. So that is why. So that's one of the things with the copying aspect, depending on what we have out there. Copying may not be the best in this deck because we don't have many non-legendaries. We have a lot of legendaries, I should say, in this deck. Storm's Wrath is just the only board wipe in the deck. We're trying to win with Overwhelming Force, not necessarily by controlling the battlefield, but it can deal with a lot of small fry that our opponent may have, hopefully maybe create an uneven blocking situation for our opponent, as well as dealing with some planeswalkers that they may have. Gem Razor here is, again, another cheap mutate creature. We can do that. Play Illuna for 5, play Gem Razor for 3, so we only spend 8 mana to get our effects. It has Reach and Trample, which are some really nice abilities to have, and it also lets us destroy an artifact or enchantment an opponent may have, so it's our other way of dealing with artifacts and enchantments in the deck. So Glasspool Mimic, I was talking about it being a copy deck. This is another one of the clones that we have in the deck that can also be a land, so I felt that this was a low-cost inclusion into the deck. Auspicious Sterix. This is, again, I've kind of already covered this with the Mythos of Illuna, but Auspicious Sterix, a few things. One, it is our second Illuna in the deck, and it's essentially the same type of cascade. The only difference is that Auspicious Sterix will put lands into play, whereas Illuna will not. Auspicious Sterix is a creature that if we are mutating onto that with Illuna, we'll always put the Auspicious Sterix on top because it's non-legendary, meaning that the Glasspool Mimic can copy our flying 6/6 Trampler mutate creature, so we have another good mutate target, and it'll have all of the Illuna trigger, the Auspicious Sterix trigger, and whatever else we mutate onto. So that's why I kind of pulled these together to kind of talk about that. This next pile kind of focuses on Thassa Deep Dwelling and all the tricks we kind of can do with her. We don't have that many ETB enter the triggers in the deck. I believe Kogla and Solemn Simulacrum are the two big ones that we have. We're really not going to repeat Uro with his ETB for Thassa. But these two, but Thassa lets us do some rebuy with some ETB stuff. But really, it's partnered more with Terror of the Peaks. This way then, with Thassa out, Terror of the Peaks, and a third creature, we'll be able to repeatedly deal damage using Terror of the Peaks' ability to our opponent's creatures, planeswalkers, and to their face. If we have, say, the Great Thassa out with the Great Henge, we can keep blinking a creature to keep drawing cards. So that is another great combination to have in the deck. And one of the other great things about Thassa is that she can change our strategy from going tall, which basically, or Voltron, where we have one big built-up mutated creature, into going wide. So let's say we have a creature that has that's been mutated and has 3 creatures on it. With Thassa, when they will all go to exile as 1 creature, but come back out as 3 creatures. So if we have, say, Terror the Peaks out when we do that, we get to deal out 3 more triggers of damage to our opponent's board and face. Or if we have the Great Henge out, we now get to draw 3 more cards and put +1/+1 counters on each of those creatures. And if we happen to have like the Royal Flush of also having Terror out, we can stagger the triggers or order them so they'll come in with a +1/+1 counter and deal an extra 3 points of damage because of Terror the Peaks ability. Terror the Peaks is probably the card we're going to look to most to try to win, as again, those combinations of what I just explained is very powerful, and we have a lot of high power creatures that can deal a lot of damage very quickly. The rest of the things that we want to kind of mutate with or cascade into in the deck. Thrix the Sudden Storm, I just think is a great body, great creature for his cost. He has flash, he's flying, so he's a great mutate target that we can make things, give things more power, better ways of attacking because he has the evasion flying. He makes our spells that cost 5 or greater uncounterable and could have mana reduction. So him on 5 means Illuna, and this affects mutate costs. Illuna will cost 1 less for her mutate ability as well. So I just love playing with him. I think giving the protection, we want to be able to resolve our big things. Giving them uncounterability is a great thing. Perforos Bronze-Blooded is just really in here to give our creatures haste. I figured it'd be a better card to give our creatures haste than, say, a Crashing Drawbridge. Viz activated ability we're probably not going to use as much as we only have a handful of red creatures. I'm looking at Rada, I'm looking at Terror of the Peaks, we're looking at Yadaro. If our commander gets bounced back, it's great, but we're really just playing him for the haste. If we happen to turn him on, which is again a really hard thing for us to do, it's just nice having another 7/6 speeder on the battlefield. Vivian's Monster's Advocate. She has an ability that she shares with Rada about looking at the top card of your library and playing things off the top. The other thing I forgot to mention that's great about that ability when it comes to regards to Illuna is that it lets us see ahead of time what we're going to cascade into, so we may consider whether we want to cascade into something or not. Like, for example, if it's a Genesis Ultimatum, we may hold off on actually cascading because that's the card we want to draw. And with the way how the cascade works, with both Sterix and with Illuna, we would actually put that card into exile. That's really why Vivian and Rada are really in here as well, because we can get a preview of what we may be cascading into. Casting creatures off the top of your library, again, is a great ability because that lets us play off the top and give us essentially an extra card in our hand. The +3 is good because it does give us a mutate target and maybe give Illuna Vigilance, but really It's the -2 is great because that lets us search for some of our bigger things. So if we were to play, say, out like a Morog for 6, we could find a nice 5-drop. Like we could find our Terror of the Peaks, which would be really great in that regard, because that means Terror comes in first, then Morog would come in and deal 6 damage to our opponent's face or board. Or -2 of us. Beanstalk Giant for the Terror Peaks is great. Vivian lets us kind of go a little wide with our big things that way, which is kind of nice with the -2. Quartz Wood Crasher is in here. There is, I think, Abdominal Abomination. Nope, that's not the name of the card. But there is a mythic card for 7 mana that it's an insect that whenever it has trample and deals combat damage to a player, you make a copy of it. This kind of reminds me of that whenever a creature with trample deals damage to a player, we'll get to make 1 token its power until is equal to the total amount of damage dealt by trampling creatures. We do have a few tramplers in the deck. We can make some with a Vivian. We have Gem Razor, Illuna as a trampler. And so we can make something that has, anybody over down here, Yudaro. So we are able to make something that's really big. I actually had a game once with Morog and Quartz Wood Crasher out where I was able to get extra attack steps and make multiple tokens that way. So yeah, Quartz Wood Crasher I think is just a very powerful card. Like I was saying before, I was trying to build a deck that has some very powerful cards at each of the parts of the curve. And since multicolor cards are harder to fit into decks, I try to play those whenever I can in the decks that can play them. Sublime Epiphany, not really using it as the counterspell, as it's something we're not really trying to be controlling, but for what it can do, we can definitely be a blowout card against our opponent. Again, if they counter something they have, or maybe stop full of trigger they might want to use. Again, partly in here because the cloning effect, so if we have our mutated creature with, say, a Beanstalk Giant or a Suspicious Hysterics on top, we can make another copy of that and almost have another Illuna of sorts in the play. We can bounce one of our opponent's things, and then we could draw a card. But it does so many things. It's a really swingy card, and that's really why I wanted to include in the deck, and on the off chance that having the counterspell at a crucial time can definitely secure a win for us. Morag Fury of Akum. Extra attack step. This sort of thing just screams out fun. It's a 6/6 for 6. He's one of the few landfall creatures we have in the deck, and it definitely is a card that can just seal the game. If we cast, if we say mutate Illuna onto a creature, so we can now attack right away, and then we cascade into Morog, and let's say that creature we mutated onto was an Auspicious Hysteric, so now we hit 2 more lands. Now we have a really potent way of dealing a lot of damage to our opponents. So that's why he's in the deck as kind of like a finisher of sorts. Coggle is another flavorful 6 cost that I like. Most of the time we're going to be using him as a fight spell to kind of kill one of our opponent's creatures, but if we do get a chance to attack with him, we can also start another way of dealing with our opponent's artifacts and enchantments. There are no humans in the deck, so we will not be able to bounce a human back to give him indestructible. But overall, it's just a big flavorful card on the 6th spot on the curve that I just want to play with. Yudaro Wandering Monster. I love this card. I love that it's great early. We can cycle him to draw something that's actually relevant, maybe early on in the game. Late in the game, we're trying to ramp to 7-8 mana. Late in the game, just to be able to say, hey, here's a hasty 8/8 with Trampler. Good luck dealing with this. It's just a card that I can't speak enough. I've yet to be able to use his ability of cycling 4 times, so I don't really expect it to come up. But again, if you have him you can keep him in your opening hand because you can just easily cycle him for cheap to hopefully draw either a land or something more relevant. Genesis Ultimatum. I'm all about casting big things for free. How can I not be playing Genesis Ultimatum? This is basically everything that I want to be doing in the deck. I have, through experience, learned that maybe not always putting the mutate creatures into play is a good idea, especially with extra mana and Illuna out so that we can, re-trigger her. Ultimately, this is a card that we want to be able to cast as early as we can and get in our powerful things, our Perforos, our Terror of the Peaks, our Morogs, our Klothys, our Great Henge. So this is definitely a card we were looking forward to playing and trying to get an overwhelming force on the battlefield that our opponent will just concede. Going over the mana base real quick, Castle Vantress, really is in here to help maybe, again, scry, maybe set up our next turn with Illuna. Doesn't happen as much because we're trying to be aggressive getting her out, but if we have extra mana later on, it's a great setup card. 4 islands, 5 mountains, 5 forest, and then the fixing, we have the blue-red pathway, red-green pathway, and I think those are the only pathways we can play. We have each of the temples that we can play for fixing, Catch Your Triome, Command Tower for all our colors, Fabled Passage for some fixing and a little extra landfall. Field of Ruin is in here to deal with something we don't want our opponent to have. Also can act as another landfall trigger with his sacrifice effect. And then Turn Timber Symbiosis, I really consider more of a land in this deck. We could try to use it as almost like an last-ditch effort to get something big, to find a Terror of the Peak, find a huge Beanstalk Giant, to find Quartzwood Crasher. But really, for the most part, I kind of see this as a low-cost inclusion as a land. I don't really expect to use his the cast Turn Timber Symbiosis on a regular basis. But maybe the time will come when that one might be changed. So now, with that, hopefully you enjoyable in-depth deck tech out of the way, let's jump into the arena for some brawls. Alrighty, we're playing against Cyan Guy, 1832, piloting a Klothys God of Destiny deck. So this is probably going to be red-green good stuff. This hand's not good enough to keep, since we have 2 green sources and only blue and red spells. So we're going to take the free mulligan here. This one is a better hand, closer to ideal. We can cultivate on 3. We'll play this on 4, and we can have so let's keep this hand. Say hello to our opponent. All right, so maybe I went a little too. Oh, okay. Temple was abandoned. Scry went to the top. They may not have seen it, so we'll just say hello again. And we're gonna lead off with the command tower so that we have all of our colors right away. We're gonna try to hold off playing the pathway as long as we can. Old school lands. Okay. Alright, so let's go with the forest here. Let's go with the forest here. I think that we can hold off on playing Glasspool Mimic for a little while. Ooh, Relic Robber. Yeah, so I think it's a little more good stuff. But yeah, I like that. Nice. This creature can't block. But he actually gave us a mutate target, which is kind of neat. Alrighty, so I know I was saying I was going to use Cultivate now. How much damage can we get away with taking? Because I think them being, I want to kill this because I know this will be bad over time. But having the mutate, I think we're going to take a turn off. So that, so we'll play the red side here. We'll cultivate here for blue. And blue. Yeah, we'll do blue. We'll do the turn timber for green. And so this way then, what we can do here is next turn, we can mutate and fire prophecy, and we'll have 2 creatures. Yeah, we're going to get hit for a little bit of damage, but we can now at least do something opponent control. Alright, so we'll take the damage. Fabled Passage, we're going to hold on to that in case we get one of our landfall creatures. So let's mutate onto one of the constructs. Take the over. We could blow this up, but it doesn't do much. Okay, well, he can't block anyway, so it doesn't really matter that we attacked him. Alright, we're going to start taking some more damage. So 5 mana's left with the Great Henge. So we can cast a 3-drop. So we could go a little bit high risk, high reward and play out a Glasspool Mimic, copying the Gem Razor. So we have 2 4/4 beaters, but we'll take more damage. As I'm doing this play now, I realize I probably should have done it on my turn in case he has a Heroic Intervention. Let's put back Turn Timber Symbiosis, I'd say. You can make an argument maybe Glasspool Mimic was the card to get rid of there. So I'd say our priority here would probably be getting out a Great Henge. The other possibility would be to mutate onto Angiosaurus and hope we hit something else, but I think the life is more important right now. Alright, so let's play out instead. Play out the mountain. No, we want to be able to keep a blue source open. Whoops. Okay, keep blue source open, add a green. Play out the henge. Play out the front side. Copy that. No point in attacking, no attacks. So yeah, we're playing a little fast and loose with our life total here. The other possibility we can do now is we can also mutate this. I mean, if we're going to take damage, might as well get some action in, so we might consider mutating Illuna here. Oh, that's not good. Beanstalk Giant. So if they decide to swing in with the Love Struck Beast, we'll just double block. Resolve. Resolve. Alright, so we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana, 9. Alright, nothing really super stupendous. I'm gonna go with the mutate plan. We have red, red, green, green. So here we go. There's our. Alright, we have all our colors. Can't cast both, so let's mutate. Alright, take the option. We have Vivian, that on top. Put one with reach.
I'd like you to meet my friend.
Let's swing for 6. Play up the arcane signatures to have something else out. So I'm trying to think what we can get with Vivian's ability with the -4, or with 4 with this. 2, 3. Alright, I think now is the time to try out Terror of the Peaks. Oh, I meant the minus. Totally meant to minus that. Alright, let's play out a Lotus Cobra. I think we gotta. I'm trying to think what's the best way to deal with the board, so more things can attack. I think we deal with the. Wait a minute. Why? Oh, okay. No, this is fine. Target this. That's good. And then let's play out the Fable. Yeah, Fable Passage is next. Let's add a red. Any other 2-drops? So that deals with the Love Struck Beast. And then if I crack the Fable Passage, that should get us, yeah. Alright. So let's go with red-green. Oh wait, I don't have enough. Okay, I thought I had enough to use the Mythos. Let's do another one with, let's go with Trample here.
I call, and Ikoria answers.
Alright, so let's hope to really make a copy of Terror of the Peaks. So 3, 5. So we should be fine for the most part. We'll probably lose a Gem Razor, which isn't terrible because that means it's 1 less damage we're taking. 11, or actually 15. We have 18 points of damage there. So they'll go down to 3. They'll gain 2. Alright, so we just lost one of our things that makes us lose life, so we'll go down to 5 next turn. Or 5, we'll go down to 3. Just gonna double block there, just because I don't want to deal with any trampling shenanigans. Yep. Alright, should have thrown everything in front. Ah, man. So I had a rough idea about the trampling shenanigans. I just forgot about Embercleave. We're playing against Telomerase, which I have to love because I know that's a science reference with reproduction of the in DNA cells. No, sorry, just cell reproduction. So I think that's an awesome name. Brokkos, Apex of Forever, is what they're piloting. And this is probably, it could go a few ways. It could be good stuff. It could be graveyard base. It could be reanimator base. I'm going to keep this hand because we have the Lotus Cobra on 2. Could easily die, but I like it on 2. We have a Temple to help us find another land. Random Revelation to restock on turn 4. So let's start by saying hello to our opponent, and let's lead off with actually the Temple Epiphany, since that will come into play tapped, and we want to be able to cast Rain on 4. Genesis Ultimatum is not what we're looking for this early in the game. Alright, Uro is a good one. So I think if we draw another land next turn, we'll play out the Uro, as opposed to going with the early Rain of Revelation, as this option will let us ramp. Let's actually get another red out. Let's add a blue. Put that into the battlefield. Submit the one. Let's add a green. And let's play out a Scavenging Ooze. And then let's attack. Alright, that was a very productive turn. Alright, Cultivate. So next turn, if we draw a land, we could actually mutate Illuna right away, which I'm very tempted to do just to get the pressure going. Probably would want to put that on the Scavenging Ooze, as that will give us a chance of dealing, because this is a really good card against their deck that lets us deal with their graveyard. Alright, so Temple of Bandit's not a land we want to see right now, only because we don't get to use it right away. The Sterix is something we want to keep, I think, at this point. I say that, and yet I can't actually use the ability. Alright, so let's play a green out. And I would say let's go with the Quartzwood Crasher right now. All that. So, Sterix is definitely a good card we want to have, I'd say. They have to do something now. Granted, our next turn will probably just be Rain of Revelation, swinging with Quartzwood. Let's do the Rain of Revelation now. I would say let's discard. Mimic seems good. We might actually want to get rid of the Migration Path, because we're doing okay on colors. We got. Let's get rid of the Migration Path. We play the land out. Let's go with the blue here. Make a copy of the Crasher. And let's swing in. He's going to have to block the 6/6. Now at least what we're having is we're having him, his board wipes, he has to be careful, or he only can have a couple, because like Extinction Event, we have odds and evens. Which one are you going to go after? So he was actually probably better off blocking here, unless he's got something really nice to mutate onto. The 6-cost mutate is the Dirge Bat, but that takes up his entire turn. Great Henge would be a good reason to hold on to. Auspicious Sterix, okay. I mean, at this point, so what if that's a 7? So I think at this point, we're just going to mutate and just go over with that way. Mutate here. I can't pay it. Oh, I don't have enough blue. Never mind. We are going to use the backup version. Hit the over. And we get a land. And let's just swing out. Because this is gaming. Alrighty. We're playing against DieterD, piloting a Snapdex Apex of the Hunt. So this is another mutate deck in Mardu colors. We're going to take the mulligan here since we really couldn't cast anything. We're going to keep this. We have turn 2 Yudaro. We have a turn 4 Fires. Yeah, this is fine. Let's say hello to our opponent. Lead off with the command tower. So this should hopefully allow us to start doing really crazy things by having Quartzwood out on time. Oh, good. Okay. Let's play the mountain. Pass the turn. So turn 3 we cultivate. So we could play Fires and Quartzwood on the same turn, which is good. Now make it be able to deal with the mutate effect. This deals 4 damage. Oh, that's neat. That's a good mutate target too. I think this has double strike, but still, good mutate target. Let's cycle. Alright, draw Forest, Temple of Abandon. Let's go with the blue source here and cultivate out. So we have now, let's look for a blue and a green. Let's put the green into play. Hold on to the blue for right now. So I would say the play next turn will be we'll play Fires out, play Temple of Abandon to scry, and then use Quartzwood Crasher. Now with 2 black, or so 1 black open, we could be looking at a removal spell. I think Heartless Axe is the one I have to worry about. Well, not right now, so Thrix is nice as well. Alright, so let's start off by playing Fires of Invention. Play out the... Oops, can't play the Crasher out yet. Let's play out Temple of Abandon. What are we going to draw? Don't want another Forest right now. And let's play out the Crasher. So next turn, we can play a land and either play... Yep, there's feed this one. We could play out Thrix and Ghidorah to go wide, which may be the better strategy here. Or we can mutate one into the other and see what we can get. Let's go with the island. I like the idea. Well, you know something? Let's go wide. We'll go with the Solemn. It'll get us another land source. Spin the deck a little bit. Take the action. Let's look for a red. And then... well, we could actually just do Seagate Restoration now. Let's wait till next turn for that, actually. Let's play out Thrix. Again, much better as the flash flying thing. But I think going wide to the right approach right now. This will deal with the Fairy Mother. We can trade off here even if we need to. Probably go after the dog first. So if they have their 5th land, they're more likely probably going to mutate. They need 2 double white. They have double white. Yep, so they may consider mutating onto the Flyer as it has double strike. And then they can deal with the Solemn Simulacrum, which would be fine with us because it gives us another land. Cub Warden. Oh, I like this. But that means he gives me a land drop, so... We won't be able, we'll block it and they'll gain the life. Totally fine. We won't take the damage. They'll go up a little bit. So I'd say here, let's use Seagate Restoration for free. Actually, you know something? I want to mutate first. Onto the Solemn. I like mutating first, so this way then, I'd rather wait to see what I get off of this than draw. I like drawing after the mutating. The ultimate cost here. And now Castle Vantress is actually a good one to have. I don't have any creature per se. I want to be aggressive because I feel like if we wait too long, they will just get ahead of us. So I want to swing in with Illuna. We'll keep Thrix back to block. End of their turn, we're going to cycle the Migration Path. This way then we can get another card in our hand. Now the downside, right, well actually Mythos, we could pick, ooh, we can pick their Cub Ward and have it fight one of their other creatures. That's not cool. I have a funny feeling they have a trick here. I didn't block the first Striker just because it could deal its damage, and then they could kill it with a burn spell before I actually am able to do anything. So yeah, see, that makes some sense. So let's cycle here. Vivian, okay. So let's go with Vivian first. Let's see what she shows us off the top. Terror of the Peaks. That's a good one.
And I will protect them.
So let's -2.
The more the harrier.
Storm's Breath would be nice.
Chorus of roars.
And we could actually go for the Thassa. I forgot about that combination. We get Thassa. Yeah, let's get Thassa. And that's enough to actually turn on Perforos, which is amazing. Let's hold on to some land. Let's hold on to... Oh, we'll play one land out. Next. So let's just swing out. And then for 9 mana, so we have 4, 1, 2. We can tap down 2 of their things. I think we end the turn here. Let's blink Perforos out. Oh, I forgot this is mutate. We could have won the game, I think. That's fine. Let's kill the commander. Yeah, that would have been a nice touch there. I could have done a... If this was actually the right one to mutate out. Yeah, no, because if I could have done that, I could have done that a certain way, yeah. Oof. Okay. So there goes our Terror of the Peaks. Which means there goes our Perforos. But we'll just tap it down like this. Tap these 2 down. They'll probably go our Vivian.
I didn't expect to be prey.
Better off to do the great match here. Oh, dang it, dang it, dang it. I messed up again. I was supposed to actually pay the cost for that one so they would fight. Oh, okay, didn't actually matter. I forgot about the double strike. So still okay, so it's still appropriate then. I meant for them to fight, but alright, so we still got there at least. I'm gonna keep this hand. I want to keep this hand. I think Rod would be nice. Probably gonna die early, let's be honest. Temple of Epiphany is fine. I think we can get a faster start. This actually, no, this is good. Storm's Wrath will deal with the Rankle. We can always just pitch the Sublime Epiphany to the Rankle as well. We're playing against El Samita, piloting a Rankle, Master of Pranks deck. So this could be a few things. Usually mono black, obviously. Good stuff. Let's play the Command Power. Let's say hello. I would say I would expect now with Rogues being a more popular tribe that you could be looking at something that is mono black Rogue potentially because this is a Rogue. Nice. We'll hold if I'm playing that one out. Let's play this first. Swing for 2 of the Scavenging Ooze. Eliminate's fine. Let's look for a blue source. We have a legit island. Passion of Remembrance. Good card, good card. Not as good. Let's go with the green because we have triple green things in the deck. I would say let's play out a Facet of Deep Dwelling. Hold up with the Dryad. Nightmare Shepherd. I think that's worth getting rid of right now. Because I could see them sacrificing creatures to get him back with the Nightmare Shepherd. Rather wait till we get a 6th land and start doing some either Sublime Epiphany shenanigans. Solemn. Gonna cast a Migration Path. Let's go for blue and red. So now we have our mana. What do we want to do with it? Well, there goes the Sublime Epiphany, I think, or the Auspicious Stare. Let's get the Sublime Epiphany. Now they're going to play out Rankle. We'll probably switch. 6, 7, for an 8 mana play. So as much as I like holding on to the Steric. Oh. Let's play the land. Broken Wings is nice. We could do both of these. I think I'm going to be greedy, though. Let's play out the Dryad. And let's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I miscount this again? I needed 9 mana. I did miscount it. He knows I have the Sterics. I'm gonna hold up on the Broken Wings, wait till he attacks. I think the Bastion was a good call because probably Rankle's probably gonna be trying to kill pretty quickly most of the time. Do I go for the Turn Timber Symbiosis? We go with the Turn Timber Symbiosis. They have all their mana open. If I mutate and they kill the Dryad, I lose out. So I rather go with the Turn Timber. See what we can find. Or it's fun. Probably possible I should have done that post-combat instead now. The Symbiosis. Because they may have used that when I attacked, actually. So sacrifice a creature, discard a card. Now this is where our problems come in. We don't have enough mana to necessarily cast 2 things a turn just yet. And they could just play the control route right now. Ooh, they have the cat. So we'll just try to see if we can flash in Thrix for surprise. Grim Tutor. I think they're looking for the oven. That might mean there's one less card in their hand that can kill us. So we're really looking for, hopefully, cascading into a Great Henge, potentially? Now, if you're looking for something that can go after our hand, which is great. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Nice. Yeah, we're gonna sacrifice a token. Give you a card. Pass to attackers. Block here, which is actually kind of nice. They actually gave us a mutate creature now. It's a shame that Kogla can't mutate. Let's mutate. See what we get. Take the action, why not? Keep that back. Rankle costs 6, 7, 8. He costs 8. I hit them for 10. I sacrifice that to the Clackbrick Troll. No attacks. And we're gonna submit 0. Oh, yeah, I could have maybe submitted with 1 and bounced it back. It's true. I just realized I am a very aggressive personality when I want to. I just want to attack and beat down. Let's resolve this. Let's sacrifice the goat. I have to remember that with Fast out, I could probably just tap things down without having to... That's fine. Take the action. Land is good. We do Kogla, we still got 4 left over. Alright, cool. So let's kill the cat. That on 4 points of damage. We'll see if that matters. Now what's nice with the Clackbridge Troll is that we can wait till the trigger's on the stack and then tap them down and choose not to. Ah, that makes sense now. They wanted to do less damage on the card draw. Rankle. Another row. We mill for number 2. Mill a couple lands. Decline. Call on the block there. Rain of Revelation. See what we can get. Submit that. So let's swing. Let's blow up the Bash Energy. So now if I use Glasspool Mimic now, I can fight the Thieves Guild. No, I'm going to have to... Alright, so I have to fight Rankle. So we're going to blink out Kogla. We're going to fight Rankle. It probably doesn't permanently get rid of it. But what we can do then is, in a pinch, we can tap down the Clackbridge Toll, we can fire Prophecy the Rankle and block Thieves Guild. And hope we draw another creature instead. If we draw like a Terror of the Peaks, that will work really well with the Glasspool Mimic. Well, you can't attack with Rankle, so we might get rid of the Thieves Guild. And I'm going to decline because I'd rather know that I'm getting rid of this than maybe lose out on something that I really, discard something that I really want and really don't care about the Glasspool as much. Even, odd, figures. Tap it down. Alright, so this is Murderous Rider mana. So I either get consistency. If I don't make this play, and I play out Illuna instead, it's 7? It's the same cost. I'm in the same predicament. All of these put me in the same predicament. I could cycle this to maybe get something. So let's try to... So I could cycle, see what I get, and then stall out. Or I could try to win now. I'm gonna play let's see if he has the Murderous Rider. I think this is a better way to end the game. Murderous Rider? Do we have the win? We have the win. Alright. And that is the video for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I had a lot of fun playing this deck. I like being able to cast a lot of big, scary things, mid-sized things that have some really great value to them, and just overwhelming our opponent with a lot of these fun, awesome cards. I like trying to figure out different ways of combining them to make them work better, to find the synergies that make them really powerful. If you like playing decks like that, I hope you will give this one a try. Let me know if you do. Tell me what you think, what changes you would make to the deck. Let me know. I made some changes. Let me know how the video gameplay looks. Let me know how my editing is. And let me know what you thought of the deck tech at the beginning of the video. If you like that type of style of video where it's more in-depth deck tech with some cool gameplay in there, let me know if you want to try doing more of those, or if you'd rather have more shorter, 5 to 10 minute deck techs and then more gameplay footage in the video. If you liked today's video, click the thumbs up icon down below. If you really like what I'm doing, please subscribe to the channel to have Brawl content brought to your inbox on a weekly basis, and click the bell notification icon to be notified of when I upload a new video. Leave a comment down below about the video, anything you liked about it, anything I can improve on. Greatly appreciate any feedback or just words of encouragement. Those are always nice to read too. As always, thank you for visiting the Batcave, and have a great day.